Joe Burrow's driving, and he's going down the field, and he's hitting all his targets. And we get down the field, and Zac Taylor's like, I think I'll run the ball. Bro! We're going to save the best for last, which means Browns are going second. Because this Bengals game was a fucking joke, dude. I am so sick of watching this team. I'm so sick of watching this 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row that this team has somehow just gotten off to these god-awful starts where it's looking like, oh my god, it's going to be a blowout, and then I'm going to have to hear all about how this team is terrible for the next, week and a half or whatever. And then they come back. They come back, and they, like in the case of the Chargers game, they almost took the lead. In the case of the 49ers game, they almost took the lead on multiple occasions. But they definitely brought it to overtime. And then some crap happened in overtime. Basically, there were so many missed opportunities, Thomas. I was seething. I was seething in the stands, Thomas. I was so mad watching this team just shit the bed over and over and over again. And it was a multitude of different things. I'm just gonna I'm sure you've heard, if you've been paying attention to anything Bengals related, I'm sure you've heard the name Darius Phillips over the last couple of days, because Darius Phillips muffed punts back to back. While we were in the middle of having these really strong defensive stands, and the offense was kind of struggling to get anything going. But the point being was we were being really competitive with the 49ers, and then Darius Phillips just gives the ball right back to the 49ers. And what's incredible is the defense still didn't allow 14 points out of that. They almost only allowed 6 points out of it, but then Von Bell had a taunting call, and it was, by the letter of the law, it was correct that it was taunting, but
the rule is stupid.
I hate the taunting call so much, man. It's so stupid. But yes, it is the rule, and yes, Von Bell needs to not do that. So I'll grant you that, but at the end of the day, it did. It set the Bengals back pretty significantly. They went into halftime with miraculously only down 11 points. It was 17-6. And I was looking at my dad. I'm like, I don't know how on earth we are only down 11 points right now. But if we can get our crap together, we can go win this game. And, man, they didn't. They didn't get their crap together. Darius Phillips muffing punts again. Stanley Morgan came in for Darius Phillips, and he muffed a punt. It got to be the point. It got to be. I don't if you were watching the broadcast, and I know I wasn't watching the broadcast myself because I was at the game, but I know this showed up on the broadcast because I had people texting me about it, and they were like, "Holy crap, is this really happening?" But it got to the point where when the 49ers would punt the ball and it went for a touchback, or it rolled out of bounds or something, we started cheering in the stands. We were like, yeah, he didn't have to catch the ball. He didn't muff it. It was so disheartening to watch that. And what was even more disheartening, Thomas, was the fact that Joe Burrow, this freaking dude, Joe Burrow, leads this team back. Jamar Chase finally gets his head out of his ass because he was not having a great game up until the second half. But he finally gets his head out of his ass, starts making big plays. And, there's this amazing touchdown that I'll talk about later. But basically Joe Burrow gets the game tied up. And then Joe Burrow drives them down the field. In overtime. We win the coin toss. All we got to go do is get a touchdown. Joe Burrow's driving, and I'm going to turn that on silent. Joe Burrow's driving, and he's going down the field, and he's hitting all his targets. And we get down the field, and Zac Taylor's like, I think I'll run the ball. Bro!
You
What are you
described that
doing?
perfectly. You described that perfectly.
Oh my god. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill
Make you
him.
feel better. I'm not. You're not the only one who's frustrated with his coach this week. Let me say this. First of all, we should rename the Bengals to the Mufflers
Why is that?
because they be muffing those punts. They be muffing it up. Now, y'all Bengals fans be muffing. You Bengal players be muffle up them punts. Got a
Okay.
bunch of mufflers just
Mufflers.
muffling up every single Jamar Chase out here muffling up passes. Jamar Chase didn't play that bad. And shout out to Jamar Chase, by the
Well,
way,
look,
for
Jamar,
reaching a
he
thousand
did.
yards in 13 games. Very impressive.
Jamar, yeah. Well, overall, Jamar Chase been having a very good season, but
I mean,
the
last couple games, man.
inconsistency
That's
with
true.
Jamar Chase, but the problem is the inconsistency of Jamar Chase is really just indicative of the inconsistency of this whole Bengals team. Like Jamar Chase's inability to figure out what the hell he's doing on a snap to snap basis is kind of really like a perfect example of what the Bengals have been doing all year.
Well, Jamar Chase is a rookie.
Well,
I think that's
see
indicative.
that's the one thing. Jamar Chase has an excuse.
I think that's indicative of the whole team, of the whole Bengals team. This is a very young team. It's like one of the youngest football teams in the NFL right now, or something like that.
Yeah, but
Aren't
man,
y'all like up there?
you put yourselves in these positions, and
I mean, yeah,
like,
I get it.
here's the thing. Like how old is Joe Burrow? 25?
That's true.
26? And he's out here he doesn't make mistakes like that. He's thrown some interceptions this year. By the way, he didn't throw a single interception against the 49ers. Just want to point that out. But Joe Burrow's thrown some interceptions this year. But for the most part, he's been on fucking point. He doesn't melt down. The Bengals just do this thing where they completely melt down as a team. And I just don't understand. And it's like the defense at the end of the game, they allowed the Chargers to go down the field and score the game-winning touchdown, and that
uh,
sucks. But I feel more bad for the defense because I feel like the defense did everything in their power to give the Bengals a chance to win this game, and they just could not do it. And they couldn't do it because special teams was a nightmare. Like Evan McPherson missed a kick. But Kevin Huber had a bad punt. The whole of special teams was just a complete nightmare. And then the offense was, like I said, inconsistent, and had a lot of trouble getting things going early. And then they did get things going in the second half and in overtime, but like I said, for some reason Zac Taylor was just like, I'm going to do a really dumb game plan. I think that would be fun.
well,
I
somebody
don't
once
understand.
says,
And not only did they hand it to Joe Mixon, Thomas, but Joe Mixon had been having like less than 3 yards per carry to that point.
isn't Joe Mixon like the second or third leading rusher in the entire NFL right now?
Oh yeah, he's been having a good year, but he was not having a good game. Is my point. Like that
Yeah.
in the game, he was doing really badly. And
Oh yeah.
it wasn't just him. Samaje Perine wasn't doing well either. So it was just like the Bengals couldn't get anything done in the running game. So why on earth, when you've been having everything work perfectly, almost perfectly, in the passing game, the whole game, and that's the reason that you're sitting here, ready to potentially go win this game, is because the passing game got its, figured out how to go do something. Not the running game. Not at any point in this game did the running game. I think there may have been like a couple of runs here and there that were good, but they were not strung together. They were very few and far between, and for the most part, the runs just been getting stopped all day. So what on earth makes you think that it's a smart idea to go try to force the thing that hasn't been working all day? And Zac Taylor at the end of the game, Zac Taylor said, I believe what he said was, the 49ers, their game plan was basically to try to, stop the pass, and they were just daring us to run the ball. And it's like, well, there's a reason they were daring you to run the ball. Because you couldn't get it done.
That's great.
Because, Thomas, they were missing, I think, all three of their starting three cornerbacks. They were so depleted in the cornerback core that they basically had to try to tempt you as much as they could to run the ball because they knew that they couldn't defend the pass because you're going up against T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase, and you basically have no cornerbacks left.
That's a
So why
tough
are you
Broncos team y'all
running the
playing next week
ball?
too.
What?
That's a tough Broncos team y'all playing next week too.
Not
Like
really.
a very beatable Broncos team, but
Dude, they kicked the Lions' ass. So did we.
hey, they also beat the Chargers.
Well, okay. I mean, you know, we didn't do
But
too badly
I
against the
mean,
Chargers.
I
But I mean,
mean,
the Broncos in general this year have been like really good
inconsistent.
against bad teams and really super inconsistent. Mostly not so good against good teams.
Well, I mean, the last like 3 weeks they won one and lost. They won a game and lost a game. They
I'm just saying, look at
literally
the way they played against the Chiefs. Like, I think if the Bengals can come out and have a good game plan against the Broncos, like, I mean, a big part of the Broncos like system right now is Javonte Williams. The
uh
Bengals have typically been pretty good against the run this year. So, I
oh
mean, we'll talk
I
about this. We'll talk about this more on the next episode of the podcast.
mhm.
But matchup wise, I don't really see a lot of ways that Denver really matches up well against us. Like,
Oh
a
no, I don't
lot
think
of
I'm
the
gonna have a
things
problem
that
with Denver.
we do well on defense are the things that they do well on offense. So, like, and then, like, I mean, their defense, I don't see their defense being able to hold this Bengals offense. So it's going to come down to miscues as it has the last couple of weeks. Because really, the game plan ultimately doesn't matter if you're constantly handing the ball off to the other team.
Uh I agree. I mean, like, look, man. I mean, I think, like you said, the biggest problem with the Bengals, and always the biggest problem with the Bengals, is that they have this every single time the Bengals lose these games that you think, man, they should have won. There's always turnovers. There's always turnover. We're always seeing
Right?
like it's always turnover shooting on foot. That's indicative. I think that's indicative of their age. But once it comes to them turnovers, pretty deadly team over we got right here.
Well,
But I mean,
and see that's the problem. They did clean up the turnovers this week, and then they found new ways to have turnovers. Like
yeah,
like
yo,
like like,
bumping
like Joe
pucks.
Burrow didn't throw a single interception. I don't believe I could be wrong, but I don't believe that we had a regular offense fumble on the game. It was just Darius Phillips, just like, here you go. I don't want the ball. Y'all can have it. And then it was also missed opportunities, like Jesse Bates missed the basically the game-ending pick six that would have ended the game in regulation.
I like the one where he missed it and then he held his helmet for like 3 minutes straight. I'm gonna get fired, ain't I? Yeah, you are.
Do you mean
Yeah,
Darius Phillips?
they released him yet?
No, they have. I'm actually kind of surprised they haven't released him yet. He's been like, okay, I will say, Darius Phillips, like Bengals fans. Okay, first of all, as Bengals fans, we have every right to be livid with Darius Phillips.
Yeah,
Like,
run him out of town.
he probably, I can't see any reason why he needs to be on a team anymore. But at the same time, there's a lot of classless people on Twitter who are just acting like idiots. Like,
Well, I
you
mean,
don't need to
duh,
treat
it's
you don't
Twitter.
need to treat the guy like he's less than human just because he made a bunch of really terrible, idiotic mistakes. But it's still football. Like, we don't need to treat people like that, guys.
It does. Twitter, of course. It's
Yeah,
Twitter.
I know. Twitter's toxic.
Oh, yeah. Definition. Definition of toxicity. Look, man. Look, man. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. This loss was heartbreaking. I thought you guys would take care of the 49ers. 49ers aren't a bad team. Not like y'all lost to scrubs. You guys are ahead of schedule. But you guys are ahead of schedule. But at the same time, like I really think that I really think that losses happen. This is a very competitive league year in the NFL and the AFC for sure. So it's not like Gunnar still in it. It's not like the Ravens aren't going to lose 4 out of the last 5 games.
See,
So I wouldn't. I would be concerned, but I wouldn't be worried. If that makes sense.
well, here's the thing, Thomas, and we can actually use this to transition to the Browns game. But I
Hmm.
think actually the favorite in the AFC North right now has to be the Browns.
No.
because
Cool.
because right now that's my perspective. Like, the Bengals can be the AFC North championship, AFC
Hmm.
North champions, but to do it, because I think the Ravens are about to collapse, and we'll go a little bit more in depth in that in the state of the AFC North. But I think the Ravens are about to collapse.
Hmm.
There's just too much going on with that team, and the Steelers are done. The Steelers
Yeah.
are just completely done. The Bengals. So right now it's I think it's between the Bengals and the Browns, and who can get their shit together the fastest between the Bengals and Browns. And I mean, you know, I picked the Ravens to win because I wasn't totally sold on the Browns' ability to get their shit together, and I was almost right, Thomas.